everybody, this is Sylvain Rochon, the Peaceful Revolutionary, for yet another video this week. And this week, I didn't intend to do this, but since I've had so many hits about the Keshe Technologies video, I decided to, like on part 1, I decided to do a part 2 right away, even though we haven't received the equipment yet to test and dismantle and reverse engineer and to kind of figure out if it's all good or not. Even we haven't done that, but I've had a lot of comments about questioning some other aspects of the Keshe Technologies, as people are trying to figure out what's scammy, what's not. Is this real? Is it not? That kind of deal. Kind of asking me some more questions, and even about other technologies or products that are out there that are similarly not overly evaluated, or they're not really out, or they're a little bit suspicious, that kind of thing. So I figured I'd do this week a very simple vlog and blog that details how do you detect a scam, something that's scammy. I mean, obviously I spend the time evaluating and analyzing the Keshe's plasma generator, and it's still inconclusive, but I wouldn't spend this amount of time on something that I didn't believe had a chance to be real. I mean, we're revolutionary. If you're following me, that means you want the world to change. So obviously we want these things to happen, but they need to be real. And we need to educate ourselves on how to detect things that are not. So we don't waste our time on wishful thinking, vapor. There's a whole bunch of people out there that, because there's this movement that of people, a little bit like a peace and love-ish movement, where people want to see things better, they want the world to change, that we become a little bit more naive or gullible in accepting things that are just not proven. And scammers would obviously take our money, and they'll tune in on those emotions. And I've been caught before. I mean, for sure, I'm not immune to anything. But since I have a background in science and engineering, I do have a method to suggest to you and some information on how to detect them, so that you kind of set aside those opportunities that are like super, like high probability of being scams or being money grabs, and focusing on those that have a shot, those that are real. So here are the points. Here's how you figure it out. First is, I'm going to look at my notes here. I have a few points. Sorry about that. First is the validation points. So point number 1, you need to validate the technology. The first step of validation is, well, if this technology is in the major stores like Walmart, a store like a physical store, it's on the shelves somewhere, not on a website exclusively, but really it's somewhere on the shelves in a reputable store, somewhere in let's say Western Europe, North America, South Korea and Japan, these countries, Australia, countries that have regulations. So a product, before any big company will put it on their shelf, what they'll do is they'll make sure the FDA has had a look at it, is validated, or some other entity that's just regulatory. So that actually permits us to have confidence in the product. Doesn't mean that it's going to work very well, but it means that it's safe or relatively healthy, and there's some testing that were done by regulatory bodies. And if it's scammy, these bodies would just basically reject it all. I'm not talking about maybe supplements that don't absorb and things like that, where there's no effect. I mean, they're healthy. There's not a problem with them. They're just inefficient, and you can get caught with those kind of things. But something like the plasma reactor by Mr. Keshe, or miracle drugs of all sorts, for example, these have to be have to pass through these regulation bodies before they're on the shelf. So that's your first test. If it's not on the shelves anyway, It doesn't mean that it's a scam straight away. It just means that it may have not have gone through regulation. Maybe it's too revolutionary or too odd to be carried on shelves, and the people don't really want it. The big companies, I mean. So what you want to do, if it's a device, something that has had some research around, like the Keshe Technologies, like a lot of the medicines, like miracle cures and whatnot that we see around us, you have to look at the research. Now, scam websites about these technologies or scammy individuals about these technologies will always put up front some kind of doctor, some kind of individual or wording saying that it's proven, it's scientifically proven. Just because you say it doesn't mean it is. What does it mean for real to be scientifically proven? If you want to have something that's legitimate, scientific proof is like a double-blind evaluation. What does that mean? What does that mean? Is like you give the technology, let's say it's a medicine of some sort, okay? You give the medicine to group A, which is significant size, let's say 1,000 individuals or more. Like it has to be a big enough size. And you tell them it's medicine for whatever ails them or for their health and whatnot. Okay. Group B, which is the same sampling, same size, you tell them the same thing, but you give them a placebo. You give them something that looks like medicine, but it's really like glucose or something like that. And then you wait for a certain amount of time. They have to take the pill every week, every day, whatever it is, for it to have an effect. And after a certain period of time, let's say it's a month, depending on medicine, then you survey the individuals and you test them and you check them to see if they feel better, if there's a recession of their whatever disease it's supposed to cure and whatnot. You do a full workup of both groups equally, exactly the same way. And then if there is a difference between the two groups, because they were treated exactly the same way, they're the same size, they were told the same thing, the variable is the medicine. One has had the medicine, the exact medicine, the other one had a placebo, something that wouldn't do anything. It's just glucose or some sugar. Okay? So if there's a difference, it means the medicine works. It does something. It has a positive impact to it. So that's how you know that the medicine actually does something. Because often, super often, I'd say 95% of the medicines that we have out there that are not on the shelves, that are just promoted on the web by some guy that made this discovery, it can be some plant, whatever it is. They don't do that. But they claim 100,000 people have told us that they were helped. Yes, these tests, the double-blind test, is the only way to identify that a medicine actually works, because the placebo effect, you know what that is? Actually, maybe some of you don't. Is that if you think it's going to heal you, your body is actually going to improve, and you'll have the impression that you feel better. It's going to be basically all in your mind. There's even physiological changes that happen when you believe you're taking something that's going to be good for you, that's going to cure you. So if you do the double blind and one group thinks they have it and the other one has the medicine, the placebo effect probably will help the first group, the test group that doesn't have the medicine. But the people that have the medicine should even have better results, because not only do they have the placebo effect of thinking they're going to be helped by the medicine, but they actually have the medicine. So you're going to see the difference. See what I mean? So that works for things that can be tested in that way. Now, things like the Keshe reactor, you can't really work it that way. What you have to do is you have to test it for yourself, which is what we're doing. So we can't do a double blind. They can't offer us a double blind. What they could have done, like the Keshe Foundation, what they could have done is, well, here's a reactor, and you do a video and you show it. But even then, that can be fake. So you really can't bunk or debunk something that's shown on video. You have to really see it for yourself, or have it on the shelves, or have some kind of a formal body, a third-party body that you can trust, say, thumbs up, we tested it, and it works. And we haven't seen any of that. It's too soon. Like, it's been distributed, I think, for the first time people are receiving it, so we'll be doing the testing, and some other people will be doing the testing. So that's why right now we're holding our breaths. We want this to work. We'll be doing the testing. Once third-party people like us that want it to work, but that will like dismantle the whole thing to figure out what's inside, we'll be able to tell you if it's the real deal or not. And we're going to be we have a test engineer that's he does tests on equipment like that for a living, and he's been doing that for over 20 years. No problem. And we will dismantle the whole thing to see if there's capacitors, batteries, or anything that's kind of fishy inside that would fake it, essentially. Don't worry about that. Okay, so that's your second test. Double blind when it's medicine, and other technologies like that. You got to test it by a third party, and there are some entities that do just that. And companies, legitimate companies that push out a new tech, they will hire typically an outside companies like that will emit some kind of certificate that's saying, yeah, it works well. Here are the specs. Here's our test results and that kind of thing. Keshe Foundation hasn't done that as far as I know. We're going to do it. All right. The next thing that you got to look at, let's imagine you don't have double blind and you don't have tests, anything like that. What you want to look at is the hype. Scam artists can sometimes sell hundreds of thousands of dollars of products, sometimes with no delivery. With huge promises. They say things like it's a miracle, it's proven medicine, it's proven technology, with nothing to back it up. You know, sometimes they offer a product and they'll say, well, we're going to ship it later. It's going to be the first batch. Like they kind of promise like huge things, and they say like there's a list of all the ailments that are going to be cured, and here's it's going to revolutionize the world. They use big words. They want to impress big. You're going to be on the ground floor, for example, the first buyers. Stay away from those. Okay, this is just hype. If there's only smoke, usually it's not good. It really isn't. So you're looking at what they're saying. Are they really just trying to sell? Are they really trying to do something of significance, and they're being methodical? They're trying to do certain things. I mean, that's what gave me some confidence in Mr. Keshe, because he has these big words about saving the world, world peace. These are his personal views. This is not a salesman. This is just somebody that has grandiose ideas, really good ideas. I agree with him that I'd love to have world peace. I'm working towards it along with you guys. But it's not something that's going to sell his equipment per se. He's not really selling it like a salesman would. That gives me confidence, because it just means that he's a little bit awkward. He's inviting ambassadors. He's trying to do these things. He doesn't explain things really well. That actually gives me hope that this is not a BS kind of deal, because he tries. And he has good ideals, but it's not a really good hype. And I'm going to give you an example of hype in a minute. So, and the third point, I guess it's the last one. If you're not sure about any of the other things that I told you before, if it's too good to be true, it likely is. Okay, so that, just tell yourself that. Don't spend any money. Do some tests. Look on the internet. So other people probably have heard of this product, service, or something that's kind of like revolutionary. Dig in. Look for people that are able to validate things, like I told you before. Maybe do some testing. Do some real testing, not just like, oh, I took the medicine, I feel better. No, that could be placebo. That could be any reason. It could be because you ate some broccoli the day before and you feel better. You don't know. Okay, and they're convinced that it's the medicine they just took. It's not. Okay, here's an example of I believe is scammy product. So I tried to find something that is really close to what Keshe is doing, as far as it's a product and it's something that changed the world and all that stuff. I'm talking about what's commonly called MMS, the Miracle Mineral Supplement. I chose this because a friend of mine, more than likely, in my opinion, died of malaria because he took this medicine. Well, we're not even sure because there were no autopsy. He was in Africa at the time. He traveled over there for his retirement and died after 2 months of a short disease. But he was taking MMS and the miracle mineral supplement. Like in the first words, you see the word miracle, that should bring up a red flag. But let's be methodical. Let's look at this product, and you can check it out on the web. There's like huge amounts of people that are taking this. A lot of my friends are to this day are still taking it, even though a lot of people have told them no. Anyway, MMS, what it is, the active ingredient is chlorine dioxide. Now, chlorine dioxide, ClO2 for those chemists out there, chlorine dioxide is a bleach. It is used in water treatment to eliminate bacteria and anything living in there. It's also used to whiten paper, like in paper and pulp industries. Okay, it's pretty nasty stuff. It kills cells. Now, nominally, right away when I saw this, when some friends were starting to take it, and they told me, oh, it's this miracle cure, and it cures like all sorts of diseases, and the list, like from the website, it's amazing. The malaria, cancer, allergies, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, AIDS, diabetes, obesity, parasites. I'm just reading from the list, and I'm not even halfway through. I mean, it cures everything. Like it kind of. They say on the website that it gives the body, the immune system, what it needs to cure the body on its own. That sounds really cool. However, this is an industrial chemical. Okay, it's not something that will target anything in the body. What it does, though, is a little bit like what they do to cure to help cure cancer. They use chemotherapy. This is a chemical chemotherapy. What they do in chemotherapy, they take a whole bunch of chemicals, a chemical cocktail that kills cells, and there's a lot of research on those particular chemicals to try to kill the cancer cells more than the other cells and things like that, than the normal cells, to try to get more efficiency, to get to make sure that person is not so sick. This kind of thing. But there's a lot of work with pharmaceuticals to actually make that happen. Now, chlorine dioxide is way simpler than that. It's bleach. You're drinking bleach, but it's going to have the same effect as chemotherapy, in a sense that it's going to kill whatever is living. So it's going to kill your cells, it's going to kill bacteria, it's going to kill a whole bunch of stuff. And yes, just like any poison or even snake venom, there is a chance that it's going to hurt the unnatural or unwanted cells like bacteria and stuff like that more than the cells that are active. So it could have curative properties in dosed amounts, in small amounts, possibly. Okay. The fact that they say that it helps the immune system, to me that's ludicrous. There is no research about this. There's no double blind. The whole website is hype. If you look at it, Miracle Mineral Supplement, their original website is hype. They say it's going to cure all these things. Gazillion number of people have tried it and told us that it's going to work. So we're selling it and we're telling you how, and here's how to make money off of it. So they offer you a way to make money selling this as like a multi-level marketing kind of arrangement. So lots of hype, no research, just like, I helped. It could be placebo. It could be placebo. Okay, people don't know what helps them. You eat also, you put stuff in your mouth all day, your body changes. If you think it's gonna cure you, it helps you, and lo and behold, the disease is better, or you're improved. It could be a placebo effect, could be something else, could be whatever it is. You don't know. Okay, this product has no valid research whatsoever, and the hype is huge. You're gonna cure all these diseases. And all you have to do is take this every day, blah, blah, blah. And even, you get this, in the website, I was making a parallel with chemotherapy. It says, some people are concerned if you have symptoms like vomiting or diarrhea. it's okay because it's your immune system getting rid of the bad stuff, of the chemicals. Now, when I read this, like because I'm thinking of my friends that are taking this, and it's like, I mean, did they read this? Because I mean, the body, when it has diarrhea or it well, let's go one symptom after the other. If you have diarrhea, it's because your intestines are trying to reject something that's bad. Of course, it's toxins. It's poison. It's something bad that's lying in there, and it's trying to evacuate so that it won't hurt your body anymore. You just took bleach. There's a good chance that the bleach is the poison, because we know it is a poison. It's not selective. Your body doesn't say, well, you know, I have bleach in me now, which is unusual. It's a poison, but I think I'm going to have diarrhea because, oh, my immune system all of a sudden identified that there's something else that has to be evacuated. It's going to evacuate everything. Same with vomiting. It's something in your stomach that doesn't feel right for your body, and your body rejects it. There's antibodies. I'm not sure if it's antibodies though. I would have to check that out. I don't want to say something that's untrue, but there's parts of the immune system, let's just say, that detect poisons, things that shouldn't be there. And if it's in your stomach and there's a certain trigger with the immune system, it's just going to make you vomit. It's going to provoke the vomit response to eject whatever you ate. It's a great mechanism for food poisoning. You just drank poison. Guess what? You're going to probably, if you're probably going to react to it. Your body is going to want to reject it. Okay, so that's why it's not whatever they claim. Oh, don't worry, it's your body removing. No, it's not normal vomiting. It's your body removing the toxins. Yeah, it's removing the friggin' medicine you just took because it's bleach. Okay, so go ahead and get dehydrated and sick off you the medicine you're supposed to work. Because you just probably took too much a little bit for your body, so it doesn't do anything. And I'm not saying MMS can be curative. I'm saying in these cases, because it's a poison, we know it's a poison. You just took too much, so you have diarrhea or you're vomiting. And maybe if there's a study that shows double-blind that MMS actually has curative properties for some of those diseases, one disease at a time, great. Let's show people how to dose it, or have a pharmacist or a doctor administer it or recommend some dosing, and let's get it out. That's not what happens. It's just like in the hands of individuals, and it promotes itself like a mineral supplement, and because the amounts are fairly small, I guess and the way they distribute, the FDA is not running after them, because I know the name had changed because they had trouble with the FDA from what I read. That's a scam. That's something like people are taking it, and there's no validation, no shelving. It's not in stores. It's sold online, but that's not a real store. I mean, the shop itself could be somewhere outside of the country, and likely it is, where regulations allow it to be sold from that location, and then it's shipped. And if the product itself is safe for shipping, then it will be okay to ship. So you can receive it, then take your poison. Okay. Now, one last thing is, I guess, like I said, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Like in this case, as soon as you see the list of diseases that are unrelated to each other, that are cured by this miracle, again, keyword miracle, cure, you should have stayed away right then and then, without even looking for any sort of validation, because that takes a little bit of time to actually check for validation, right? I do. And I know how to look for that, because Google sometimes is uncooperative for some people that don't use the right keywords if you're looking for research, for example. And one good way to look at things is if like research papers were published in real scientific journal, or patents were filed and accepted. That actually helps. It's not as strong validation as what I described, because it's only on a scientific level. It's not on in application. But if people have spent the money to apply for a patent, they've spent the money or the time to get published through the peer reviews with other scientists, third parties, trying to do the same thing and checking your results. That's pretty good. That's pretty strong. And Keshe Technologies, and I checked, they applied in the UK patent office 4 patents, and after a certain amount of time they stopped paying because it wouldn't get validated. But that actually, it's not as good as if they went through. But I mean, it's pretty revolutionary what he's trying to pass, because he's changing a little bit the conception of what we see in the subatomic particles. So it's not that unusual that the patents would not be accepted as far as design. Maybe it's a little bit too far out. But he did spend the money to actually do the 4 application, and it's fairly expensive to have those, and there's a lot of effort to it. So once again, it's like I'm willing to put the time and the hope and your hope into the free energy concept by Mr. Keshe. And hopefully this little video will help you in discerning, the scams to the non-scams. And you know what, even if you say no, like it's no good on all these points with a certain item, it still doesn't mean that it's not good. It just means you shouldn't invest yourself time, money, or anything into it. You can look at it again, maybe in a year if they did some studies, if there's more information to be had, and if it looks okay at that point in time, as far as like honest, great studies, it's on the shelves now, for example, that kind of thing. But in the meantime, you just let it sit there. You don't think about it. You go back to it in a year. If it still looks like a scam at that point in time, it's still a scam. Just don't touch it. Don't touch it. If you guys want me to take a look at certain things that are scammy and to validate it, maybe I'll do a video at a certain point in time to go through a few. It would be my pleasure. Or just directly in the comments, I can respond to you like a real quick if you want to check. But really, you should be able to do it yourself with the tricks I've provided, and hopefully we can help each other get through some of the nasty bits of new technologies and new medicines and new things going around, and shape up the brave new world. I shouldn't use those terms, should I? But because of the book. But usher in the golden age of humanity, where we all collaborate and we all try to do good and nobody's trying to scam you. All right, so that's going to be it for me today. I hope you have a great time, and we'll see you next week with another video.